Hi, hello. I've got something a bit different today. We're going to be ranking the Star Trek movies. And we're not going to be doing it in a way typical of most ranking tier list type ranks. Uh, but yeah, here are the movies. So the order I'm likely going to go in is 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 10, 5, 9, 6, 8, 7. Just for some variety. These three I feel ought to go in order, and the next generation movies can kind of be in any order. So uh, that way we're not front loading a lot of decent stuff. But we're going to be looking at three categories. So we've got story plausibility. I am not a fan of, hey, your ship is the only one in the entire galaxy who can do this. You should have a lot of ships, Starfleet. Use them. Crew utilization. Is the movie more than just Kirk, Spock, McCoy chatting? Some really good movies aren't going to do great here, and some not so great movies are actually going to do well, so that'll be fun. And then the message, if there is one. Not all of them have a strong message. Doesn't mean the movie's bad, but does it gives a chance to some movies that otherwise wouldn't. And this is kind of, as my friends Jeff and Brent would say, the Star Trek message. You know, how Star Trek is it? So, you know, is it hopeful for the future, that sort of stuff. So we're gonna grab the motion picture, and I haven't watched all of these movies in a while, so we're going off of my potentially bad memory. Okay, so the motion picture, Kirk's become an admiral, Spock's off retired, becoming more Vulcan. McCoy is doing his best hippie impersonation in the 70s. We've got a new captain of William Decker, who's the son of Commodore Decker, who went crazy in the Doomsday Machine. If you didn't realize that, yeah, that's how it connects back to the original series. So V'ger, aka Voyager 6, is coming back to Earth. It's been super ramped up by a world of machines. Some people like to say it was the Borg. But this is one where, hey, the Enterprise at Earth is the only ship in the area that can do anything. And the Enterprise is not ready. And yeah. So I think story plausibility, it's kind of in a C. I don't have anything against V'ger specifically, but the amount of hand waving that is done in order to get this movie going is a lot in my like. How do I explain it? You've got the Enterprise, it's not ready. Kirk doesn't know how the ship works, and Chekhov has been moved over to tactical because we want the new girl at navigation. That's going to be a common theme. Yeah, it just Spock has to do a mind meld. The old science officer dies in a transporter accident because we need room for Spock. Kirk just takes over for no reason other than he wants to. The story isn't super plausible to me. Our crew utilization. Yeah, about that. Chekhov gets a little bit to do at tactical, but not really. Scotty gets to give the Admiral a tour of the ship for 18 hours. Sulu does practically nothing. Uhura does practically nothing. Yeah, it's the crew doesn't do anything in this. It's unfortunate. But message, hope for the future, that sort of fun stuff. You know, it's about meeting God. V'ger goes to meet its maker and finds out it's a carbon life form infestation. You know, it's a Gene Roddenberry flick, so of course there's a strong hope for the future message. You know, the day is won not through torpedoes and phasers, but through talking. And so yeah, that's pretty A-tier message. Shifting gears, we've got Star Trek 2009. Oh boy. These probably aren't going to be scaled the exact same, but whatever. Here, I can try to scale it. There we go. So the Romulan sun goes supernova. Spock tries to stop it with red matter, whatever the fuck that is. Spock and a Romulan mining ship get thrown back into the past. The Romulan mining ship blows up the USS Kelvin, where Kirk is being born. Yeah. I don't hate all of it, but it has its issues. We have this huge time jump where Kirk grows up, and the Romulans are off doing who knows what. I know there's beta canon of it gets captured by the Klingons, and the Romulans are all at Rura Penthe. How A, how did the Klingons capture them? B, how did they escape and get their ship back? And then they go, they destroy Vulcan. The crew gets together. Yeah, the plausibility is kind of B. It's mid. Like, it's Star Trek. You have to suspend your disbelief a bit, but for what it was trying to do, it was fine. But there's still a lot of holes. Crew utilization. It's very high up there. You know, they hired fantastic actors for all of the crew. Uhura's got stuff to do. Sulu gets a fight scene. Chekhov is super manic crew member. Scotty's fantastic. Honestly, McCoy is like the least used in the film, and even he has a good scene. Yeah, crew utilization, Star Trek 2009, S tier. Message? Not really. Like, the only real message of it is don't feel obligated to what an alternate universe version of you did. Be your own person. It's not a strong message. That isn't what J.J. Abrams is known for. So I'm probably going to dump it down in the sea. Alrighty. Let's make people angry. Wrath of Khan. Let me get that size right. Alrighty. I have problems with Wrath of Khan's story. Once again, the Enterprise is the only ship in the area that can handle stuff. But my biggest problems come with Chekhov on the Reliant visiting the SETI Alpha system. Now, I do not have a problem with Khan recognizing Chekhov when Chekhov wasn't a member of the crew during Space Seed because the actor hadn't been hired yet. Whatever. I don't care. It's certainly plausible that Chekhov was around and just not on screen. My issue is the Federation has been to the SETI Alpha system. They know there are X number of planets. The Reliant is doing survey of planets, presumably in stable solar systems. And they're going to be double checking everything. And so you would think that the Reliant, upon entering the SETI Alpha system, would go, I think we're missing a planet. And as soon as they realize they're missing a planet, they should have been, okay, A, this system probably not the best for this experiment. B, let's tell the Federation and have somebody come by and do a survey and figure out what happened to the missing planet. Let's move on to our next target somewhere else. And then there's no movie. Yeah, so we're getting our first D tier. Oops. Don't worry about like left to rightness. That's I'll futz with that later. But yeah, the you have to put a lot on the back burner on story in order for Star Trek 2 to get good. Crew utilization. It's not a D. Chekhov has been promoted to first officer of another starship. That's awesome. Sulu and Uhura don't have too much to do. Scotty gets a bit with his nephew and again doing a tour. They bring on Savick, who has a lot more to do. I'm gonna move this up to C because at least the guest stars got to do some stuff. I'm gonna go with B just because Chekhov gets so much to do. The guest characters get a lot to do. Savick is fantastic. And Spock and McCoy have a ton to do, so that's always fun. Fair amount of messages into oh, I made that one really small. Whoops. But you know, it's about just because you're growing older doesn't mean you don't have purpose. There's the message of just because someone's wronged you, don't chase after them to get revenge because ultimately that'll destroy you. You know, there are messages in Star Trek 2 if you're looking for them. The same cannot be said for this pile of dog water. Story plausibility. Oh boy. Well, it takes after Wrath of Khan. Somehow, Admiral Marcus has found the Botany Bay and captured Khan and has been using him for stuff. Khan has magic blood now. Kirk and Scotty have a fight, and Scotty just quits and then sneaks onto Marcus's secret dreadnought. And, if you've seen the movie, you know that the story is complete and utter dog water, and therefore the plausibility for that story is complete and utter dog water. Like all of the Abrams flicks, a lot of good stuff for all of the crew members. Probably not as good as the first one, but we'll give it a solid A. I don't remember Sulu having a lot to do. Chekhov gets made into the chief engineer for some reason, because navigation, tactical engineering, Chekhov can do it all. He even went evil once and became a evil psychic cop in another universe. Message? The only message I got out of this movie was don't watch Star Trek Into Darkness. Haha! Search for Spock. So, Spock dies at the end of Wrath of Khan, and then they shoot him on a Genesis, and now he's alive again. Yay! And then the crew decides to go save him and ignores Starfleet orders. Yeah, I can see that happening. This is Kirk and crew. F Starfleet. We take care of our own. Yeah. I don't have any. It's not that the Enterprise is the only ship in the area. It's not. Look, there's Excelsior. Oh, we disabled her. Haha. Yeah, it's easy to understand. Cruge has gotten wind of Genesis and is out looking for it. The ship studying it has Savick and Kirk's son, because of course it would. There are little things here and there that might be problems, but the overall story plausibility, yeah, it's fine. Crew utilization, again, very solid. Everybody gets their own moment. Scotty disables the Excelsior. Sulu has "Don't Call Me Tiny." Uhura puts the person in the storage closet. Chekhov has to. Everybody's in. Everybody buys in. Savick is protecting growing up Spock. Great movie in terms of crew utilization. And as far as messages go, definitely the messages of, you have to take care of your family. And that isn't always biological. It's found family is just as important. Yay. Star Trek Beyond. I vaguely remember this movie. I think I've seen it maybe twice, if that. Might just have been the once. Kirk is tired of being a starship captain for some reason, because we never watched the original Star Trek. They go to investigate this planet, and the ship gets destroyed by a bunch of little drone crafts. Yeah, I think it's down here somewhere. I never bought into the JJ verse. And yeah, I barely remember the story other than Enterprise gets destroyed. They fight off the drone ships with Beastie Boys. Yeah. The crew? Yeah, again, gets a lot to do. It's probably up here in S tier again. Uh, everybody has their own little story. We get some great Kirk McCoy's or Spock McCoy stuff going on. You have the rest of the crew kind of rallying. Yeah. Message. Oh. See? Maybe if I remembered the movie more, it'd be higher. I don't know. Cool. Star Trek 4. The one with the whales. Kirk and company are heading back to Earth to face court-martial for stealing and blowing up the Enterprise. Whoopsie doodle. And then there's a probe, and they figure out how to communicate, and they need to go back in time. And so they choose the 80s because it was made in the 80s. But they rescue 2 whales and have hijinks. Yay. Another solid S. Both Search for Spock and Voyage Home really hammered in that all of the crew needs to have something to do in order to have a good Star Trek movie. You know, you've got Chekhov and Uhura stealing nuclear radiation out of the Enterprise, the aircraft carrier. You've got Sulu learning to fly a helicopter so that he can fly the transparent, or it's not transparent aluminum, it's just plexiglass that McCoy and Scotty have gotten by pretending to be scientists, and they invent transparent aluminum for the guy. And yeah, it's just been a fantastic S tier crew utilization. And I think you know where the message is on this one. You know, strong environmental message of, hey, don't F up the Earth, or down the line you may realize you've really effed up the Earth. And there's a reason Voyage Home is one of the most popular Star Trek movies, you know, because it's just excelling in all 3. Now, a movie that didn't excel in all 3. Oh boy. Star Trek Nemesis. The Enterprise gets called out to Romulus because an evil clone of his has taken over the government, and yada yada wants to fight, and Data dies. Oh no. Yeah, whatever. Star Trek being or Picard being cloned by Romulans 20 years ago. I don't see it. When, why, how, who, what? Yeah, nothing on that movie made sense. Crew utilization. It wasn't great. Worf has a few lines. Like, Data has a lot to do. Picard has a lot to do. Troy gets mind raped. Oh boy. That's lovely. I think Geordi is in this. I think Crusher's in this. Oh, Riker and Troy do get married. So, it's not C or D tier, but it's not great. Message. Yeah, there's a message in this movie. It has a message much like Into Darkness. Don't watch this movie. We did it. Star Trek V. Finally, a frontier. Hey, the Enterprise is the only ship in the quadrant, and it's not ready, but we're gonna go anyway. And hey, it's this movie again. Only it's worse this time, because like really the Enterprise isn't ready. It barely flies, and oh, it's Spock's half brother, but we didn't know that going in. Like, if they sent the Enterprise specifically because it was Spock's half brother, and they wanted Spock there, okay, that I could see. But no, it's just a happy coincidence. And when I say happy, I'm not. Crew utilization. Like Sulu and Chekhov have a little scene where they're lost, and that's kind of funny. Uhura has her dancing thing. Scotty busts them out of jail. Yeah, I think it's B. Message. What does God need with a starship? That's not a message. It does have a bit of message. The message is pain sucks, but pain helps make you who you are. I'll give it that. Star Trek Big Erection. Sorry, Star Trek Insurrection. I get those two confused. Data has been helping out on observing a planet and went crazy, only he didn't. The planet, while pre-warp, is by people who are post-warp, and they just decided they didn't want to be warp anymore. Because there's a star that has special mojo radiation that youthens people. Yeah, there's a lot of just go with it, and I'm not willing to just go with it. Crew utilization. Cool. Worf has just lost his wife and doesn't bring it up. But Geordi gets a moment where he actually gets to see with his real eyes, which then goes away without the radiation, and what happened to his bionic eyes while his eyes got, like Troy and Riker flirt. I think Crusher is in it. They're not using the crew well. Like, they get a couple moments, but they don't use them well. Yeah, the message on this one, it's wrong to uproot people just for your own sake, and leave native populations alone sort of message. It's not terrible, but it's not great. But you know what does have a great message? Star Trek, the sixth one. I think Undiscovered Country was the first one I went to in theaters by myself. This isn't a case of the Enterprise being the only ship around to do this. This is Spock volunteered them. Also, the Enterprise is the flagship. Also, yes, Kirk has a history with the Klingons, so being able to reconcile would be a powerful message. Yeah, the story's fine. Accident happens. Klingons are suing for peace. Spock's on top of it. Yeah. Typical Star Trek fare. I love it. Crew utilization. It's getting dinged. I hate to do it, but Uhura, whose name is misspelled in the credits, Uhura should be able to speak Klingon. Also, why are they using a bunch of books and not, I don't know, their giant computer system? But Sulu's got his own ship. Oh, Chekhov is dumb. That's gonna ding it a little more. Scotty has some great moments, though. Yeah. It's not terrible, but it's not great. And the message, of course, another top tier piece better than war, and don't be afraid of change. Change can be a good thing. First contact. This one gets a lot of points because this isn't the Enterprise, it's the only ship in the area. This is Starfleet specifically kicked the Enterprise out, and then they ignored orders and came back anyway. And one, I like Starfleet not wanting Picard on the front lines on this. And I also like that Picard said F it and brought him back. And then there's time travel shenanigans. Yeah, it's a good solid A. A lot of fun crew moments on this one. Data gets assimilated, sort of. Worf is on the Defiant, and then he comes and helps out. Crusher gets to evacuate sickbay. Meanwhile, on the planet, Troy and Riker and Geordi and even Barclay. Oh, they have Barclay. Yeah. Everybody has something to do, and that's always fun. And then there's the message of, yeah, there might be dangers in space, but a lot of good can come from going to space as well. Don't be afraid of that. And that brings us to Star Trek Generations. Oh boy. This one does have only ship in the area, but they were already out. They were on a little press tour. Hey, it's the new Enterprise, and here's the old captain of the old Enterprise, and oh, there's a disaster, and nothing works. The bigger issues come when we go into the future. A lot has been said about the bad that is Kirk's death. Yeah. B tier. Crew utilization. Let me get the resized one. It isn't good. This was the movie that was supposed to be, you know, TOS meets TNG. Only it was just Kirk. and we get Scotty and Chekhov, who are playing Spock and McCoy. And then even on the Enterprise D, the only thing Crusher really does is get pushed into the water. Geordi gets kidnapped, so he gets a scene there. Troy, was it Troy or Riker who crashes the damn ship into the? I think it was Troy because Riker was in charge of the other section. Yeah, it's not great in terms of how they use the crew. And message, yeah, it didn't have much of one. Don't let them take you from the Enterprise was the closest thing, and sometimes you have to give up your dreams and wants in order for, yeah, I don't know. So in terms of story plausibility, yeah, 3 and 6 are the S tiers. We've got First Contact in 4 in A. We've got 2009 and Generations in B. In C, we have... How did these get to not be the same size? I don't understand. We have the motion picture, we have Insurrection, and we have Star Trek Beyond. And in D, we have What Does God Need with a Starship, and The Wrath of Khan, and Into Darkness, and Nemesis. Again, just because the story isn't plausible doesn't mean it doesn't have a good story. And just because the story is somewhat plausible doesn't mean it was a good one. In terms of crew utilization, we'll put them in more chronological order. We have 3, we have 4, we have First Contact, we have 2009, and we have Beyond. I didn't use like any of this side of whatever. No one cares. In A tier, we have Into Darkness. B tier, Wrath of Khan. Final Frontier. Ooh, don't do that. Undiscovered Country and Nemesis. In C tier, we've got The Motionless Picture and Insurrection. And in D tier, we have Generations. It's like falling off of the screen. It's great. And in terms of message, 4 and 6 are our clear winners. 1, 2, 3, and 8 in A tier. 5 and 9 in B tier. C tier has Generations, 2009, and Beyond. And then in D tier, Into Darkness and Nemesis. So that is how I rank the Star Trek movies. Leave a comment below if you disagree. I may revisit this. And live long and prosper.